And so the strategy regarding that is we have been working with the United Way of Milford, and you will see another promotional piece going around with lists that we have compiled from our food assistance partners within the city of things, food items they may need, other supplies they may need in order to respond to the needs of our community, as well as a place to make monetary donations if people are not able to contribute actual food or would rather contribute financially. The Milford United Way has stood up a site to be able to make donations, which will then go to all of our food service providers within the community to be able to support our efforts. So thank you so much for having this important conversation, and just we're grateful for all of our partners.
Thanks, Steve. Quickly, I just, she's not on camera, but I wanted to thank Kathy Kennedy, our state representative, for being here in support of this conversation. So thank you, Kathy. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Simon McDonald, our Director of Membership and Marketing, who is going to moderate the panel.
First off, thank you to all the people out there on Zoom for tuning into this. And if you can take some information away from this and share it amongst your community, that would be great. So what I'm going to do is basically give each of our panelists a moment to discuss what they're doing, who they are, what they've been doing, and explain the best way to help moving forward. So first, we're going to start with Stacy with the First Congregational Church in West Haven. Beautiful historic church right on the green. It's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
And yeah, so Stacy, take it away.
Okay, well, hello everyone. Thank you to Simon and the Chamber for inviting me here to participate in this important discussion. My name is Stacy Riccio, and I'm honored to represent the First Congregational Church in West Haven, where I serve on our outreach ministry team as the Director of Outreach. That's a very recent appointment of our church. We always do outreach, but this is, we've committed to forming a committee specifically designed for that. Our church has stood in the heart of West Haven for generations, and now more than ever, we are seeing our calling as being a place of hope and help for our community, especially for those who are struggling to make ends meet, and a place where faith meets action. We believe in showing love through service, meeting the physical, emotional, and spiritual needs right here in our community. This afternoon, I'm going to share with you what we're doing, what we're seeing, and how we can work together to meet the growing needs in West Haven. So what we're doing now is First Congregational Church has made a long-term commitment to serving our local residents through consistent hands-on outreach. I have a calendar of the meals that we provide that Simon will probably be posting on social media. But every Monday and Friday, so people are aware, we serve lunch at 11 a.m. to approximately 50 guests each of those days, and that's every Monday and Friday. These meals are open to anyone in need of food, warmth, or fellowship. Many come for food, but also for community and kindness. Tuesday evenings, we do collaborate with Vertical Church, and we to provide dinner at 5 p.m., where we typically serve between 60 and 80 guests weekly. That's every Tuesday at the First Congregational Church. This partnership has become a wonderful and beautiful example of faith communities uniting together to serve. On the second and fourth Wednesdays of each month, First Congregational Church hosts our own community meals, serving dinner at 5:30 to approximately 80 to 100 people, the second and fourth Wednesdays of every month. It's one of our most loved gatherings.
Mom would have been freaking out about the power.
Our wonderful cooks make. But for the friendship and sense of belonging that it brings to the community. Beyond the meals, we are also organizing this most recent outreach project, which will include care packages for families that are going to be affected by the SNAP and WIC changes. This includes our current donation drive that we have just put into motion within this past week. We will be distributing information to the Board of Education in West Haven, online and throughout the city of West Haven, where those who are affected by the SNAP reduction will be able to pick up bags of food at designated days and times. We're ironing out all of the specifics, and that should be forthcoming very shortly. So what we're seeing in West Haven is we have approximately almost 3,500 residents that are going to be affected by the SNAP reductions. That's a lot of people. We've seen firsthand how the needs in West Haven have grown not over the past year, not just for food, but for connection and dignity and stability. Inflation, housing insecurity, and changes in government benefits are putting pressure on families, seniors, and individuals who never imagined that they would be in this position. What we are beginning to notice is that the faces of need are also changing. It's not just the unhoused or the unemployed, it's our neighbors, single parents, seniors on fixed incomes, even working families who simply can't stretch their budgets anymore. Inflation, rent increases, and benefit reductions are stretching people beyond their limits. The upcoming SNAP reductions are deeply concerning, for many of those benefits are the difference between stability and crisis. Even a small cut can force families to choose between groceries and medicine. We expect to see a greater food insecurity and higher demand for meals and community support. This is where local collaboration becomes very essential, helping to fill the gap where government aid is falling short. While we realize we cannot replace the government assistance, we can help fill in the gaps together. As a church, we believe what is about to happen and is already happening is a growing need for collaboration. No single organization can meet all these needs alone, but together, faith groups, local businesses, nonprofits, and our city leaders, we can weave a safety net that catches those who might otherwise fall through the cracks. Do we want to go through our asks yet, or we'll do that
Yeah,
after?
we'll do that after.
Because I do have a lot of asks.
We all
Watch
do.
that.
We all do. Next person who's gonna present is Jen Faridas, who is the president? CEO?
Executive director.
Executive Director of the Beth-El Center. I would give you all of those titles.
Cool. Hi, everybody. It's so wonderful to be here with you all. This has been a very difficult week, tacked on to a very difficult month. For all of us in this work, we knew a piece of this was coming with the passing of HR1. Michael had mentioned that. The coupling of that with the government shutdown and the circumstances that people will find themselves in on Saturday. It's overwhelming. I'll just name it. It's overwhelming to us, and I'll make a stretch that we are perhaps some of the folks that will be deeply impacted directly by the cuts, and many of us are neighbors looking to support our other neighbors. So it's an overwhelming moment, kind of tacked on to many others. So the Beth-El Center is an organization that supports people experiencing homelessness and hunger. We serve men, women, families, veterans in the greater Milford area. The work that we do does span over 13 municipalities, from Milford to Madison and the lower Naugatuck Valley area. So the continuum of services that we offer is everything from prevention, so homeless prevention, keeping people stably housed, so they're not entering into a crisis of homelessness. That is certainly done by the work of shoring up households with benefits and resources like SNAP, to outreach in our communities on the streets and to support folks who are unhoused and then connect them and engage with them, build trusting relationships with them, and help everyone come along to a little bit more stability. We have emergency shelter services, including on site at 90 New Haven Avenue for men, women, families, and veterans, as well as a no freeze program that is set to open in just a few weeks. The weather is terrible today. I wish we were open right now. But that program is for cold weather services and runs from November 15th to April 1st. As the heartbeat of our work is our community kitchen, open 7 days a week for 2 meals a day, in coordination with a lot of other partners. And then lastly, we have permanent supportive housing. So we really see a continuum of individuals along the spectrum of unstable and kind of quote unquote making ends meet. And in many cases, those ends are not able to be met, and how that snowballs so quickly into crisis. We also have the privilege of seeing folks on the other side of trauma, of the trauma of homelessness, of the trauma of hunger, and moving towards larger goals in their life. We have spent a great deal of time this week with our community, with those folks that are going to be directly impacted by both the freeze related to the government shutdown and the impact of HR 1. What we have really learned, and some of what we knew to be true, but we wanted to make sure that we're acting and responding directly to the needs of the folks that we serve. What we've seen is that these cuts will impact almost every aspect of people's lives. And you said it best. SNAP benefits are our number one defense against hunger. They do more for an individual household and a community at large than any of the food pantries and community kitchens up here that could do. And when you have security, the security of SNAP benefits, security of access to food. So let's say what that is. SNAP benefits is access to food. It's access to food on your own time. It's access to food with some of your own choices. Without that, the instability of the household is continued just further, and we'll start to see the breaking down of other systems and access to things like healthcare and transportation, childcare, getting kids to school on time, getting to employment. One of the questions that we were given to answer is, how is this impacting the greater community? It's like, all of the shoring up of access to food allows you to show up in every other area of your life. And so this is kind of what we're talking about here. We have, really brought our community together to understand, what are the ways that they'll be impacted, as well as what are the ways in which we can help. And I think, that's been, honestly a wonderful learning experience for the staff of the center. We consistently learn from the folks that are most impacted by the issues that we work towards. And so this was no different. I think what I'll say is we've done a beautiful job as a community, really coming together and saying, how do we support the systems in place that support these individuals? And that is so necessary and so important. Deepa mentioned the citywide food drive. There are ways to give through Milford United Way to make sure that that's distributed. But I want to also mention a really important point that has been brought to our attention, which is, all of these resources are tremendous. However, it does pass along the burden of the household to access these systems further in order to get the help that they need. We're opening for longer hours or more meals, or, pantries are providing more. Well, okay, if you're taking the bus and now you're getting 2 weeks worth of food instead of 1 week worth of food, that burden is now placed on the person who is in receipt of those services. If we're opening up for more meals, but we have no other way to access for an individual to access supports, if you're working 5 days a week, we're never making it to breakfast, no matter if we serve it or not. The SNAP benefits used to provide the subsidy there. And so our community has really asked us to think of ways in which, in addition to shoring up the food pantries and the community kitchens, because that is so essential, how can we connect directly with, how can we connect the resources directly to the folks that need it in a way that is a smaller burden to that user. So they've come up with things like distributing gift cards and cash assistance to help subsidize the loss of SNAP benefits. They've also talked about ways in which we can reduce costs around transportation. They asked me today, can you make the buses free? And I was like, I don't know, can I? Like, maybe we can, to provide some relief, because, I had mentioned that, all of these things around cost burden households, ALICE households, as we know them to be, asset limited, income constrained, employed, you know, it's all of these facets and how they relate together. The expenses of food relates to you know, what you can pay towards housing, what you can pay towards transportation, what you can pay towards childcare, et cetera. And so in this time, if we can also strengthen and support a household in other areas, so they are able to lean in a little bit more towards their food needs, you know, that's also helping. I know we're going to talk about other things, you know, in time, but I wanted to mention that, you know, the stability of these households is the fabric of our community, right? Like these are folks that are working in our downtown district. These are folks that are in our school systems. You know, this, you know, Michael, you mentioned the number of folks impacted. You know, these are folks that we see every day all around. And so, you know, how is our community going to be impacted when the decisions for these households were made much harder, right? When more money to food means less money to gas means you can't get to work, direct impact to businesses, et cetera. So I look forward to talking more, and I'm really thankful for the chamber for hosting this conversation.
Thank you. Sue, Purple Pantry, give us a little update as to what's going on with you.
We are very busy.
I'm sure.
We were busy before this week. Now we are just extra busy. We are getting more phone calls, more emails, more text requests for people who are saying, we're not gonna have SNAP benefits, can you help us? We're working with folks who are gainfully employed without a paycheck because of the governmental shutdown, so they don't have the money that they were spending on food, and they would never have considered themselves to be food insecure. But when you haven't had a paycheck in 30 days, a lot of systems can just fall apart. So we firmly hold true that food is a right and not a privilege. So we do not say no to any requests. We do our best to fulfill them and to help people where they are, meet them where they are. We have 20 Purple Pantry boxes in 5 different cities, 13 of which of them are living in Milford. And they're filled, now most of them are filled in Milford twice a day, every day of the week. Yeah, the need's that big. It's very hard to look at a Purple Pantry box that I know was filled at 10 o'clock in the morning and it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it's empty. And not say, okay, we have to do something about this. So we are completely funded by the community and by grants. And we just keep writing grants and we keep asking for help. And the community has been unbelievably supportive. So we're now doing home delivery to folks that we haven't delivered to in over a year because they were secure with food. They're not trying to get something that, you know, they didn't need it. They had their own resources, their jobs were bringing in enough money, their SNAP benefits were bringing in enough money. Now they're back at square zero and they're devastated that they're calling saying, so we need help again. I'm like, I'm devastated, you need help again too, and you're gonna have it. You know, this is not a question of, are we gonna help? It's a question of, I share you in your sadness, because this is not your fault. You have done everything you can do in this situation you're in. And yes, of course, we are going to help. It's also, coincidentally or not, happening when people are starting to plan their Thanksgiving meals. And we were and have been gifted by Adams Supermarket 20 turkeys this year, as they've gifted us with 20 turkeys last year. And that's really all we needed last year. We needed 25. It was easy to fill in that gap. We already have requests for 25 Thanksgiving meals. When I say meals, I mean raw food. We do not cook the food. We provide boxes of the food for people to cook for themselves. And, you know, we are going to be buying more chickens and more turkeys. And we're going to do everything we can to fill everybody's tables with the food that they need. Everyone we work with knows that we're providing raw food. This is not, we are not a restaurant. But we really do our best to make sure that people know that in a world where there really aren't a lot of safety nets, that we are one of the safety nets that they have. And, you know, when people have to ask for help, it's a have to. Most people don't walk around saying, I'm gonna ask for help today and be all jovial and happy about it. Most people don't want to ask for help. The people that we're working with, by and large, are housed. By and large, have kitchens where they can cook. I always think about the expression, you know, a fixed income. I don't know, I was always a salaried person when I had a job that paid. And I think anyone who's on the salary has a fixed income, because there isn't really a way of expanding that salary. Your salary is only gonna go as far as it's gonna go. And a lot of our people that we help go to work every day. They take care of their families every day. But their income does not cover the costs of life. And that's where we come in very often. You know, with home delivery, we bring food to people's homes. Most of the people that we work with home delivery don't have transportation. I'm not asking someone to come and meet me someplace in the
Yeah.
parking lot. When they don't have a car.
Oh, really?
We bring the food to their homes. We do not walk into anybody's home.
Did you see
Stay
the,
outside.
yeah, I don't think it's that bad. Did you see the barge that I sent you?
You know, if they have a nice day, we drive off and make.
That's at Woodmont, at the Anchor Beach in
We started
Woodmont.
This year with.
I don't know. I'm worried about his car.
It's
I'm
October.
listening to something right now. They're doing a panel at the chamber.
And I'm not even talking.
No, I
about
just wanted you to know.
everybody's that we're doing for Thanksgiving. The need is real, the need is great. And I am absolutely grateful for the community that has been so supportive of us, because they know that they are helping us help their neighbors.
Thank you. And now the newly appointed program director at Wheat, Heather Spoon.
Well, thank you for having me. I am beyond grateful to be here and discuss the amazing work that Wheat does. I have only been a program director for 7 weeks now. I can tell you that this last week has been extremely challenging. Where we usually have 22 new clients come through our door in a week. As of the end of day yesterday at 4:30, we had 94 new clients come in our door. So with that, you know, I'd like to discuss a little bit about how we work. So we get a lot of our food from Connecticut Food Share. A lot of it we have to purchase ourselves. There's some items that are free. So we also rely on a lot of our clients to subsidize that. We always are looking for protein. Protein's always the highest cost for us. You know, as a nonprofit, we have a budget. So with CT Food Share, there's, you know, every week we order and we bring in what we have and ask donors and stuff to help subsidize what we can afford. But with saying that, according to data in New Haven, Data Haven, 1,178 families in West Haven will lose SNAP benefits. So with that being said, I can only imagine what the increase is going to be in the next couple of weeks for us. Also, something I think a lot of people don't know is, you know, West Haven, we has been in nonprofit business providing food for the community for 50 years. This is our 50th year anniversary, but we also provide food for beyond West Haven. Anybody in the state of Connecticut can come to Wheat and get food. We have people from Hamden, Norwalk, Stratford. And with saying that, I'm saying that because it would be great if we could partner with some of these larger corporations to give us grants and bring in donations, not just in West Haven, you know, in fact, Milford, Orange, big corporations that can actually afford to give us donors. I'd love to start reaching out to them to help bring in some more funding. Because I think our biggest challenge at this point is to be sustainable. Because I think that once November 1st comes, you know, having 94 just this week, it's gonna be really, really hard for us to be, sustainable as far as keeping food, on our shelves. We rely, our volunteers, are amazing. We have a shopping model where our clients can come in and they shop. It's not, we don't give them bags, they come in, they actually take what they use off the shelves, what they can actually use. So, it used to be the model where we would give them bags of food and they would take it home. And some people have allergies, some people can't eat certain items. So now it's the shopping model where you come in, you can take what you actually will use. So there's not a lot of waste going on. We do a lot of partnering with, Vertical Church, ShopRite, all these. They drop off weekly for us, so we get a lot of fresh produce that way. This week has been amazing. We put out call to action to the West Haven community. And I can tell you that if there's an apocalypse, you want to live in West Haven because they are the most generous people I have ever seen. The donations coming in, the calls coming in, it's just, we are beyond grateful to have such a wonderful, warm community. With that being said, we hope that we can continue. I'm looking for ideas. If anybody has any, please contact us on how we can be sustainable going through the end of the year and into the new year. Hopefully, the SNAP program will come back, by the end of November.
Thank you very much. What I'd like to do is ask anybody here, if you have any questions, or Kathy, did you want to talk a little about what's going on with the?
I can't, no.
Yeah, if you would like to come up and talk a little about the, what's coming down from the state.
So I think we want to introduce the state representative. Yeah.
State Representative Kathy
That's
Kennedy.
really here because I've lived in the city of Milford for nearly 40 years. This is my community. My community is being impacted and I want to help and do anything that I can. I can do all the fighting I can in Hartford, certainly, and it's still unstable. It's Washington that we have to figure out what in the heck is going on. I also sit on the Appropriations Committee, so we did have discussions with Commissioner Barton Reeves, Department of Social Services, and with the changes with the HR 1, they have been notifying SNAP recipients of those changes that would come into effect. And unfortunately, it coincides with this shutdown, who, if I could, I would love to smack their heads all together, all of them, not just one side or the other, all of them, and just say, get off the pot, okay? This has gone on too long. Children, people, seniors are suffering, and we've got to do something. We all are doing it right here, right now. And I put these out to all of my people that are reaching out to me. I've had a lot of people reach out. Just not sure. I just had one question though for you, Sue, and because it just kind of hit me, and I donated to Purple Pantry. Probably not the right way. Sometimes that's.
I'm not judging for you.
My concern is when you say delivered to houses. So my concern is that you're saying you have to fill them twice, and I can't imagine that. Like I said, a lot of people, they're working, just can't stretch that dollar. And I can't imagine opening that door after a long day at work and it's like, then can they call and is that what you mean by the delivery station, or is it certain residents? Could you just explain that to me and for anybody else that might?
Twice daily. The first filling of the day is always in the morning.
Right.
And then the afternoon filling, we call it the PM filling, that's happening closer to 3 in the afternoon, with the hopes that people who are at work in the morning can get food in the afternoon. That is absolutely the goal, and that's the motivation behind filling twice a day. Because, it shouldn't be that you can't get access to food. But we actually do home delivery, where I establish a relationship with someone in the community. And yes, we do home deliveries in West Haven as well. We live in Milford and in West Haven. And you get the pertinent information, which for me is how many people are you feeding, and are there foods you can that you don't or can't. don't wanna bring food to someone's home and then have it not filled in.
Absolutely.
Um, our only requirement is that someone is home to accept the food, we're not leaving boxes of food on the doorstep. And that food is both perishable and non-perishable. So it's not just what's in the pantries, which is always non-perishable.
So, but I just want to be clear, so if someone gets to a box and it's empty when they get out of work, let's say at 5, 6 o'clock, can they then call and have someone deliver food to them? Or is
I'm
it-
gonna be honest with you, we're not gonna be delivering food to someone's house at 5 or 6 o'clock.
Okay.
in the evening.
I know you're
On the
all
sixth day.
volunteers and I
I was just gonna say, we have wonderful
I-
volunteers.
absolutely, I get that.
But that we're not, that we're not doing. We typically have less than a 24-hour
Okay.
turnaround.
Yep.
So if someone reaches out and says, I need food, okay,
Okay,
what are
That's
your
what I
hours of
understand.
availability tomorrow so that we can bring food to you?
okay, thank you so much. You know, and we know that, Governor Vermont, gave money to, promised money to Kennedy food share. I was there over a couple of months ago and it's dwindling, and I know that, Storehouse Project relies on Connecticut Food Share for their deliveries to there because they're open, I think, 3 days a week.
They're distributing food
They're
from the
distributing
Storage
from-
Project.
West River Street, right?
Many-
And it's a similar what you were talking about, Heather, that it's like, or you were talking, somebody was talking about, you go in and like actually shop, don't just hand you a bag. And so you can actually shop off this intake, or you will use, which is really.
Yeah, eliminates a lot of waste,
Right.
Can I
So-
interject one thing?
Yeah.
It's directly related to your question, Kathy, maybe you'll help answer some big question. I just heard a remarkable thing this morning at a community meeting that Jen hosted. And one of the folks there, that was in the community kitchen, specifically talked about Purple Pantry, and the coolest thing was, he raised it as, let's all respect each other, and when there's need, take just what you need. Don't take everything that's in the box. I thought that was the coolest thing to hear. So I think,
It's the concept.
right,
It is
right,
not, right.
so I think maybe,
Yeah,
I'm sure it happens, but, it sounds like there's a dynamic there that's.
every once in a while you do see out a lot.
Right, yeah, so anyway.
I can't think of enough, but
But
yeah.
your concern kind of fits the whole problem that we're running into here, right? Because if you have a SNAP card, you can stop and get
Yeah.
food when you need it, right?
Yes.
This is the gap that is not gonna get filled by a community organization.
Come on,
So
sorry.
I mean, that's why this program was invented in the first place, right? I
Yeah.
think Jen, you probably have. something
Yeah,
to that.
yeah, I mean, I kind of want to like level set because I, you know, and I promise you, and most days I'm super fun to be around, but, you know, this is not a situation in which, I mean, this is a beautiful thing, a community coming together, you know, kind of all hands on deck. We're responding to the government shutdown kind of first, but we have these changes of work requirements, et cetera, on SNAP benefits that are going to eliminate SNAP benefits for families that relied on them indefinitely. And so, can we run an emergency food drive every 2 weeks for indefinitely? No. This is not, you know, in the near term, communities need to rally together, pandemic level responses, you know, to some extent around how do we ensure that every person who has utilized these benefits, plus, because we know there are many more families that are on the edge that for some reason don't qualify or, you know, don't utilize. But, you know, there was a recent report that came out on the Connecticut Commission. I had to look this name up because it's so long. Connecticut Commission on Women, Children,
Yes.
Seniors, Equity and Opportunity on Food Insecurity that named Connecticut as the #1 state in New England for food insecurity. So that's just as a starting place for us as a state. And this is not me rapping anyone's knuckles. This is me just saying, you know, we have to kind of level set and say, how do we, when we move through a crisis like this, how are we on the other side of it stronger than where we were at the beginning, right? And a lot of that comes from really looking inward and saying, you know, how do we build systems that actually get to the need and addressing the long-term need? On top of that, you know, working with folks who are most marginalized and most disenfranchised from traditional systems, food systems, healthcare systems, education systems, et cetera. You know, we saw a 45% increase in a 10% increase in homelessness overall across the state. but 45% increase in unsheltered homelessness. That dramatically changes the way that you access food. And that's why we were bringing up Purple Pantry boxes today, because Purple Pantry boxes are pivotal for folks who are unsheltered in their access to food, because Sue and her team are really great in ensuring that the items that are available are edible without a stove, without silverware, without those basic items. And so, my point here really being, one, as a state, like, yes, Washington is a huge issue right now. It's preventing us from being in community together, quite frankly. But also on the home front, how are we relying on one another, and how are we building something better on the other side of this? I think that there's more that we can do there to ensure that this social safety net that we all rely upon is not vulnerable to existential crises like the one that we're in now, or less vulnerable. My point is that we're not going to emergency food our way out of the long-term impact of these changes. We have to have systemic change, and that's why it's pivotal that folks like you are here as community members. You do that so beautifully, and it's so authentic to who you are as a leader. So yeah.
Just to add to that, with the loss of the income for the stores and all the other businesses that are going to feel the loss of this income from SNAP going directly into them, the farms that aren't getting the food bought for them, not to mention the other things that have been cut. That's one of the reasons I think we're all feeling the pinch at the cashier at the grocery store. I mean, $2.99 for a half trunk of groceries is insane. I mean, there's two of us, and it costs us $200 a week to eat. That's insane. Years ago it was $5, $50, or never $5. Okay.
That's when he was eating frozen burritos.
So there is a much larger effect happening here to everybody, even if you're not having to partake in these services. It's going to hurt us all. So we've got to figure out a better system.
Yeah, I mean, the money that you would use to go shop in the mall, or to go to Walmart, or to, now you need to use that for food. And so even industries outside of food industries
it's going to affect everything.
Yeah.
Money is fungible. I had one question for you, Stacey. For the people who are coming to have a meal at one of your feedings, or dinners or lunches or whatever, feedings, do they have to register prior, or do you just show up? You don't even know how many people are coming beforehand?
That's right. They don't have to register, they just show up. We do serve an awful lot of the unhoused in West Haven, and I'm gonna piggyback on what Heather had said about West Haven is a wonderful community. Anytime you ask or put something on social media, everybody just really supports our community, but you do not have to have a registration to come into our church. If you need a meal, come on those days. We're also serving Thanksgiving dinner, which is a tradition that we do every year. That's going to happen on Thanksgiving Day. We have a boatload of volunteers that take time out of their Thanksgiving, and they come and they serve, the people who need to have a nice hot Thanksgiving meal. So yeah, you definitely do not have to register, and if very so often, we almost always have somebody at our church, almost daily or almost into the early evening. I've been there several times where people have come in and they wanted food on a time where it wasn't a meal, and we have fed them. So you're never going to be turned away at our church. We're a very giving church community, and I'm very thankful for that, because it feels like your home, and that's what we want to provide for people in West Haven.
Heather, do you have any specific asks that you would want the public to know?
Yes, some of the things that we really need at the pantry are sustainable would be, like canned tuna, canned chicken, crackers, because we have a lot of peanut butter and jelly. Crackers are more sustainable than bread. So that would be something that we would really like. Rice, pasta sauce, tomato sauce. Those are also items that, pretty much go quickly on our shelves.
And cash.
Cash can't, well, see, as they say, the old saying, cash is king, and I say that because for every can of tuna somebody can buy, we can buy 3 cans.
Right.
And the in-kind, the tangible is absolutely wonderful, and our community has been so amazing, but the money goes so much further, and, you know, please feel free to come into Wheat at any time. You know, I can show you how things are done. I can show you how the amazing volunteers work. And then you can maybe understand a little bit more how the cash is much better than, not much better, but how cash can go further than, you know, buying 1 can of tuna fish.
Sue, what can the community do specifically now to help? Other than cash, because I think everybody can take that.
Yes, we are, you know, we are very fortunate at the Purple Pantry Boxes because we have been so adopted by the community. And we have businesses at least once a month that are doing food drives for us, right at their workspaces. People come and visit us. And we don't have any of these any restrictions because we don't get anything from food share. So with money, we buy food, and I feel really fortunate that we have enough money in the bank that we can go to a supermarket any single day of the week with shopping carts and just buy food. We have a list of stores that we utilize. So could we use more money? Of course we could use more money, but who in the community can't? And can we use more food? Of course we can use more food. We're right now so fortunate that we don't have to think about saying no, and we don't have to think about turning anybody away. And we can fill the pantries more. And that's the sense that I want to give to the community, is that yes, we can always use help, but I don't want anyone in our community to be afraid and say, well, we can't reach our pantry boxes because they gave us food last week. That's okay. That's okay.
Good.
You know, we're here for you.
Thank you, Sue. Jen, specific asks?
Yeah, so we prepare meals. So we do hot prepared meals. And so there's a full list of, we've taken our November menu and we've said, what do we need in terms of inventory to get from 125 meals a day to 150, 175, 200 meals a day. So you can find that on our website, bethelcenterct.org. We also have an emergency fund that we are raising funds for that will translate into gift cards and cash assistance to individuals to serve instead of their SNAP benefits, so people can have that autonomy and flexibility. You know, to my earlier points around being able to get to a pantry or get to a meal, and that could be limiting for some folks. So on a case-by-case basis, we'll be evaluating that and using the emergency fund to do that. So you can find that all on our website, bethelcenterct.org.
Thank you. Stacy, I know you have a couple of.
Yeah,
Just a few.
I have a lot of asks because we're pretty self-sustaining. Our church is, you know, it's our membership, and our membership is an older community and very compassionate. We also do have a purple pantry box right in front of our church, and that we self-sustain that ourselves. And we have a wonderful community that it's filled up several times a day, and it's people do come at night. Just to answer your question, our community comes at night and puts food in the purple pantry box in front of our church. It's really nice to see when you're driving down by the green. And it's really nice because it has the ability for those families that get out of work to be able to actually get something to eat on their way home. But so we are really asking and inviting local businesses and leaders, city leaders and community members to partner with us in any way that they can. We are developing right now our donation drive. I'll share the link with you, Simon. on that. We are sending home, registration forms to, all the school systems, to the Board of Education, because we feel that that's our most vulnerable, population is the children and seniors, of course, the unhoused, but if we could get to the kids, we're gonna get this registration form out to the Board of Ed, through a collaboration with our city leaders and so on and so forth. And they're gonna be able to check off what it is that they need. So we need, money to do that because we wanna be able to provide for them what they actually will eat with allergies and so on and so forth. We wanna be able to make sure that they have what they need. And we're also going to be doing hygiene products and things like that. We're putting together a whole collaboration with our church now. We've been meeting after meeting after meeting with our membership. And that's just for all of our, really for all of our local businesses to contribute to, you know, any effort really that, that anybody is putting out there would be an awesome thing.
So I want to say thank you to everybody for doing this and for everything you do, obviously, I think that goes without saying. And to all the people who are out there watching this, do what you can, go to bethelcenter.org, right? Yeah.
BethelCenterCT.org.
Oh.
You're so close.
I didn't remember your name for the first time. So, and we'll put links out there for all of these organizations. You can sign up for our newsletter, we'll put it out on there, we'll put it all up on Facebook as much as we can. We'll share what you're doing as well. Yeah, but thank you very much for everybody coming. I'm
Thank
sorry, we've got to cut it short, but
I just say one
please,
quick thought.
yes.
According to Urban Institute, and I just think this is an important thing to say. Connecticut residents will take a bigger hit than any families in any other state besides Washington DC. So that's just something to think about, when you go to the bank, when, please consider donating, so we can continue supporting families.
Because there's gonna be a lot of people. coming.
Yep.
There's a
Yeah,
lot of
it's
people
just
that
gonna get worse.
What you may
Yep.
have as sustainable now may not be in a month.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
let's step up if we can.
Oh, and I invite you all to come to our church to see our meals in action because it's quite the sight.
I know they do a good job.
We do a wonderful job and the food is delicious and the, it's nice. It's a nice feeling just to be there and to see it in action. So you're all invited to come.
Well, thank you very much. And with that, we're gonna call it a day. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Simon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chamber.